ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm when I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place, I with the one Jamal skinny. Jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. Chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. International, when me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm when I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place, I with the one Jamal skinny.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with another dev.stream. Today, I'm joined by François Barillion yet again. This is round 2 for François on the stream, and we're going to be talking about the brand new effects plugin called COLDFIRE. Before we do that, though, I've got some announcements, and while I'm doing these announcements, which are all really great, you're going to love them all, let me know where you're coming in from. I saw some from Panama, Ukraine, Poland, Germany. Man, I also saw somebody that's just got out of getting a knee replacement here to watch this stream, so that's incredibly exciting. Announcements. Today, Arturia have been kind enough to allow me to give away some plugins. And I'm going to tell you right off the top what those are, just so you can get excited. We're going to be able to give away 2 copies of COLDFIRE, and these are NFRs. They're going to be licenses that are yours for life. And then one grand prize winner is going to get the Effects Collection 3, all of the effects from Arturia and COLDFIRE on top of that. So, a bunch. Now, to be entered for that giveaway, all you need to do is be active in the chat and be a positive force there. That could be just commenting on what's going on. That could be asking great questions about the plugin or about Arturia in general, or just about music production. François and I are both music producers, so we've got a little bit of knowledge between the two of us. A couple of other quick announcements. Just for this stream, we have a code for COLDFIRE, 50% off right now for the next 24 hours on Plugin Boutique. This is the first time we've done this, so let me know what you think about it. But my friend Killian, who's running the chat today, is going to put that code into the chat, and all you need to do is go grab COLDFIRE on Plugin Boutique, and at checkout, enter the code. It's COLDFIRE50. as a promo code, and you'll get 50% off the plugin that we're about to check out today. You don't have to do it right now. You can wait until the demonstration is over, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be pumped to do it. And also, just a quick side note, exclusively on Plugin Boutique right now, you can grab Pigments, which is another Arturia synth, which is absolutely incredible. And I'm going to get Francois to do another dev stream coming up on just that. But that's 50% off right now for the whole week, I believe, on pluginboutique.com. So with all of that being said, let me bring in our guest today, Mr. François Barillion.
Hey Josh, hey everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation again.
Round two. I think
last time was for EFX Fragments, another creative effect plugin that we released about a year ago. And really excited to do this one on COLDFIRE.
Yeah, I think you are only my second guest to have a second round here on the channel, but we're incredibly excited to have you. Obviously, the Fragment stream was intense. It was incredible. We learned a lot, and everybody was super jazzed about that. And now we've got another effects, and that's actually a pretty quick turnaround time in between the two, right?
Yeah. Well, our ambition with the Fix Collection has always been to bring kind of new innovative tools in the middle of the rest of the recreation of iconic gear, and so our ambition is to get more and more of these kind of innovative and creative plugins. So we're doing our best to do more and more of them,
Well, it's great. Keep them coming, Francois.
Yeah, it's really interesting to work on this kind of plugin actually, and it's really exciting. I'm really happy with the result of both Fragments and COLDFIRE. Later on, I'm gonna play some audio of it, of course, but also the combination of COLDFIRE and Fragments together, which can lead you to some crazy results,
Oh, is that you got examples of that coming up on the stream today?
Yeah. It's in the middle of a production, kind of.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, let's just jump into it, Francois. I mean, I'm super excited. As you know,
Yeah.
I've done I did a video on COLDFIRE, and I turned just a kind of stale 909 drum loop into a techno synth lead. And it was just what is even happening? So I know that distortion and saturation can go from the subtle to the absolutely insane. And I'm incredibly excited to see what you, the man behind the team, behind COLDFIRE, have in store for us today. So by all means, I will let you take it away. And for people watching, send your questions for Francois just at Plugin Boutique, and we will try to answer those on the stream today. But we're good to go when you are, Francois.
Okay, so let's do this. So first, let me maybe back a little bit to the story behind the plugin. I think it's quite interesting. So initially, when we started to work on COLDFIRE, we had this idea of blending various types of algorithm together. And mainly, and this is why it's called COLDFIRE, blending very cold algorithms, so digital stuff, with something more hot, such as fire, and more analog ones. So this is how it all started. So here you have the interface of COLDFIRE, and it's organized kind of in a symmetrical way. The right side is, we're gonna call it slot A, can handle one distortion processing, and the left side, and the right side, let's call it slot B, can handle a totally different distortion processing. Each one of these slots feature a pre and post filter. The pre filter can be either high pass, low pass, band pass, notch, comb filter, with dedicated frequency like cutoff and resonance. The post filter is just some very simple 24 dB per octave filter that you can adjust like this. Pretty straightforward. And as far as distortion goes, you have 11 different distortion types, which goes from the coldest one to the warmest one. So each distortion is color coded, so that means you can easily see what kind of algorithm you've put on each side, and quite interesting interface here. And where the magic happens is the central part of the plugin, where you have the routing options. So you can put these two slots either in serial, in parallel, in mid-side, band split, or stereo, which means one slot on the right channel and the other on the left channel. And maybe I will go much more into detail, but you also have some dynamic processing and a feedback module, as well as tons of modulation capabilities. So that's it for the introduction of the plugin. So maybe I should start by playing some audio. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to jump into it. We've got some questions too.
Yeah, so let's jump into the question maybe first.
Well, first, Media Master is wondering how many presets come with COLDFIRE out of the gate.
So for COLDFIRE, we have a total of 250 presets. So that's really cool and exciting.
It is a lot of presets.
Yeah, well, actually, maybe it's 150. I don't remember exactly now you say it, but I think it's quite a lot. Yeah, either 150 or 250. I'm not 100% sure now.
So we won't quote you on it, but it's a lot. Let's just say in a roundabout way, it's a lot of presets, more than enough to get you started. And
For sure.
Someone else is wondering about if there's an auto gain function anywhere in the plugin.
Yeah, so you will see afterwards, I'm going to go through a lot of different presets, but basically almost every single distortion algorithm is automatically compensated in terms of gain.
Oh, wow, just add, it's like always on, like there's no way to turn that off, turn it on?
Yeah, pretty much, but every module also features an output gain, so if you need to just put it a little bit like louder or quieter, you can do it right out of the box. But if you know how gain compensation works, you can't have something that is perfect all the time. It really depends on the incoming material. So we took the decision to have gain compensation everywhere it was possible. Some algorithm you can't do it because of the way it works, like the rectifier. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it's quite impossible. Beat inverter, it's quite harsh. You will hear it afterwards, but most of them are compensated. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, let me play some audio maybe first. So what I wanted to do here is just to show you how you can use the plugin with like two very different algorithms. So I have these very basic synths. It's basic triangles playing chords. Okay, so this is my dry sound. For this example, I'm gonna use parallel routing. So one slot next to each other, I would say. One is very warm, which is called Force. It's an algorithm that we developed for our plugin called Bus Force, and the other one is a bit crusher. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play with this slider and go from very warm distortion to very chaotic bit crushing thing. So let me put the plugin. What's really cool is that you can blend these two sounds together really quickly. What's even better is when you start to apply modulation to various parameters. So I'm taking this example. I made another preset, which is using exactly the same configuration, but adding some modulation on top of it. And modulation on distortion is really cool to add some movement. So let me play back the pad again and just switch to the next preset. So here I'm modulating the feedback module and also a bandpass filter on the B module. And if I add even more modulation, it gets crazy. So yeah, quite moving and everything.
Are you getting the feedback pitch modulation is what's giving us sort of the almost arpeggiated sound there, yeah?
That's exactly what's happening. Yeah, I have the pitch. So yeah, let me maybe introduce first the feedback module. So as I told you before, we have this middle section which basically represents the blending of everything. And in this middle section, you have the routing and the balance between the two modules, the compressor section, which maybe I will cover later on, and this feedback module. And what feedback does basically is just feedbacking the signal to either the slot A, the slot B, or both.
Which signal? Which signal? So if you're on parallel right now, those get summed, the two distortions, and then that summed gets routed back into either A, B, or both?
No, it's only the signal within a slot. So the signal that goes out of the force goes back in like this. And same goes for the slot B. So when you feedback both modules at the same time, you're actually feedbacking each module individually and summing them at the end.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it's clear, but and in terms of feedback, you have various options here. So you can have it synced, unsynced, and you can even define a pitch for this feedback. So I'm gonna play back again the audio that I had and just apply some feedback. And yeah, maybe. So the feedback can act as a delay or just as some sort of weird resonator sometimes. And this is what I've used on this. This is what you hear right now. So that's it for the quick introduction of the different modules in COLDFIRE. And for the rest of the stream, I've prepared quite a lot of different examples to cover what you can basically do either as a creative processor or as a mixing tool. So yeah. Should I continue on that?
So if you want, I mean, I've got a bunch of questions coming in, but I think let's go through a few more examples and then we can get to a Q&A halfway through or something.
Okay, sounds good. So first, I wanted to showcase a little bit more of this creative use that I was explaining before. So here I have sort of a track that I've made for the live stream that is utilizing an instance of COLDFIRE on each individual track. So I'm going to play the whole thing and just go into details along the way. What I want to do first is show you what's going on the drums right here. So first of all, I have a basic drum loop that is the foundation of the track. Here I'm using COLDFIRE in a very simple way. I just wanted to give the sound this kind of lo-fi vibe in some ways, as if it was processed through an old SP 1200 or something. So I'm just bit crushing the whole thing, and it's really hard for So this is with and without. Very simple use. When it gets interesting is here. I have a patch that is creating some overtones on top of the drums. So again, I'm going to play it. So this is the whole thing without COLDFIRE. And now I'm using it. So this is the magic of the feedback module, multi-band compression, and tons of randomization that just creates some crazy things. And over the drums.
Do
Again,
you think it'd be worthwhile to show us how you're mapping maybe one of the sequencers down there and what it's doing to the sound?
yeah, well, it's quite crazy because there are like 6 different step sequencers that are running and modulating various parameters. But yeah, basically they are all set up in different ways. Each of them got a slow amount, like a little amount of random, and they are not even all playing on 16 steps. Some of them are on 15, some of them are shorter than that, so 14 steps. So at each new cycle, so at each bar, it just creates another new pattern. But basically, most of them are just, this one, for example, it's tweaking the frequency of the bit crusher as well as the frequency of the comp filter on the slot B. This one is doing some crazy stuff on, pre-filter A. Basically, tons of things going on.
Can you maybe show us how to set up the automation?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just grab. I don't want to ruin my patch, so maybe I'm just gonna.
Do it for us, Francois.
No, I'm just gonna take a default patch on the sound that I had before. So what's really interesting in COLDFIRE is that we've implemented a new way to use modulators in some way. When we released Fragments a few months ago, we had like this fixed set of modulators. We had 2 function generators, 1 step sequencer, and it was fixed. You had that. And I thought a little bit more, and I was like, why shouldn't just offer the option to the user just to choose? Like, if he wants 6 different step sequencers, let's do that, So what you have in COLDFIRE is like 4 different kind of modulators to choose from, and that can be mapped to pretty much every parameter on the interface. So it's pretty easy to use. Let me just, I'm gonna put a bit crusher, just crank up the random parameter on this step sequencer and assign this step sequencer to the frequency of the bit crusher. So I just click assign, and then I drag around this. Let's put the rate of the step sequencer to 1/16, and here we go. And you can do that to pretty much every parameter you want on the interface. So if I want to do that on pretty much all of them here. Pretty easy and straightforward. If you're familiar with pigments, it's pretty much the same paradigm.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
I got a question about modulators before we move on. Carla Gallarday is wondering if it's possible to modulate the modulators.
Yeah, of course. So let me take the example of an LFO, for example. So here I have a LFO that is assigned to the frequency of the bit crusher, for example. What I can do is take a step sequencer, for example, and if I want to assign this step sequencer to the rate of the LFO, then boom. So basically, at every new step, the step sequencer, it just changes the rate of the LFO.
Lovely.
You can also, like, if you want to go a little bit more crazy, let's take, so those are morphing LFOs. So it means that it can go from square to it can go from square to various things. So you can even modulate the waveform and the output of the LFOs, for example, with another LFO. So create some really random things. It's really cool, actually. So yeah, modulating modulators is possible, and you can, well, I'm not gonna go too much into details, but yeah.
Hold on, we got another question, Francois.
Let's do this.
Is the middle slider modulatable as well? The balance between the A and B slot.
Yes, it is. So yeah, to illustrate that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set I'm gonna put the plugin in stereo mode. So that means you will hear Bit Crusher on the left side and Force on the right side. So okay, so what about doing a distorted auto pan? Well, that's doable. I'm setting the modulation to bipolar, and then so the way it works is pretty straightforward. It's the same paradigm as other modulation, except that instead of dragging vertically, you just have to drag horizontally on it. And then you keep the access to the initial position of the slider. So, and it always tells you like the amount you put. So yeah, it's modulable. Yeah.
We got more modulation questions, Francois, if you're okay with it.
No problem.
I'm excited about all these modulation questions. Someone's wondering if you can use MIDI key tracking as modulation.
Currently, no.
Okay.
The reason for that is that MIDI communication between plugins can be quite complicated sometimes. So we don't do that at the moment, because we are though like investigating how to do it via MIDI and all that. But we want to be sure that we will offer the features for every single DAW, and currently it's not really the case because every single DAW is working in a different manner. Some passes MIDI, some other don't. So at the moment we're still investigating it. But yeah, we have tons of ideas with that, but not implemented yet.
And if we could just get this question out of the way, because it comes up literally on every dev stream we do here on the channel, how CPU heavy is COLDFIRE? And is there a light mode? Is there oversampling? Is there a way to reduce CPU load? Like, if you could just run through all of those, because it's a question that always comes up. It's a very valid question, but let's just get it out of the way. Yeah.
So I would say it really depends on the algorithms that you are using. Some of them are really lightweight. If I take, for example, like 2-bit crushers, here you have a CPU meter. So just for you to know, I'm running a 2019 MacBook Pro with an i7. It uses less than 2% CPU with these algorithms. So we have two different oversampling qualities inside of COLDFIRE. Studio is the cheap one, and render is a little bit more intensive on the CPU. So depending on the algorithm that you're using, you will see here that the CPU will go a little bit up. Let me play some audio so it's processed. But overall, yeah, here we go. Germanium is a little bit more intense. So yeah, here I got 6% CPU. So if I do that, Transistor plus Germanium, which are the most intensive, I got around 10% CPU in the live mode, I would say, and in render, I'm around 20%.
And that's just on that instance of the plugin, and only that plugin. It's got nothing to do with anything else in your computer.
Yeah, it's just the plugin. That said, it's pretty rare to use like 2 Germanium or 2 Transistor, I would say. The whole point of the plugin is being able to match, like very digital and very analog, I would say.
Yeah.
But like if you take a very generic wave shaper, it's like very, very easy on the CPU. So for creative purpose, I think we have the right balance between something that is really easy on the CPU for creative and very rhythmical, modulated stuff. And if you're more into mixing and all that, you're also covered, because if this algorithm takes CPU, it's for a reason. It's like highly nonlinear. It has a lot of like computation going on, like backstage, I would say. And they are great for like mixing and mastering purposes.
Another good question. from Alexander Volashin is, why is the macro slider sometimes visible and sometimes hidden? And I'm guessing it's the mixer one in the middle there.
Yeah, correct. So basically, this plays with the balance of each module. So in parallel, it's just, you see on the right side of the slider, you have 16% A, 84% B, etc. So this is the balance between the two different modules. And as you can see, depending on how you move, you get more or less of the one you chose. Same goes with mid side. You have the amount of mid, the amount of side. The only one where it's not visible is serial, because you don't have any balance to do between the two modules.
Right.
They're just one after the other, so you can't do any balance. But other than that, band split, it just acts as a like cutoff frequency for, crossover frequency, sorry, for the band splitter.
And what is that button that shows up over on the right? Yeah,
oh, here. It's to deactivate the animation.
So would that be an easy way to save on CPU if you were running into issues?
Not really. This visualizer is like totally. It's almost no CPU at all. So, but what's happening sometimes? Let me show you. And this is why we offer this feature. It's just that sometimes it can become
a little crazy.
Yeah. So you don't want to see that all the time. So you can deactivate it. This is the main reason why we've put that. And that's it, I think, for the modulation. Am I right?
Maybe. There might be more questions later, but by all means, please continue your presentation.
Yeah, for sure. So should I go back to these beats? Yeah, maybe. Let's hear this one. It's pretty cool. Freaking loop. Sorry, I looped the wrong position. So back to the beat that I was demonstrating before. Just showing how it works as a great like mixing tool. Here I have a very simple bass that I've made with a DX7. So here it is. Pretty straightforward, and with COLDFIRE. So it gets really beefier. And what's going on here is that I'm using two analog algorithms, so one force and one germanium, and with some multi-band compression happening on this preset called bass control. And this is how you get like these longer tails, I would say, out of the bass. Let me just crank a little bit the volume. So in the context of a mix, let's go to this pad. Let's go to this pad because it's really interesting. I have a lot of things going on this one, and I've prepared it for this live stream.
Oh, Plug and Boutique exclusive, you're saying?
Oh, totally. So here's the pad. Very basic Juno pad, and what I wanted to do is to get some life out of it. So what we have here first is something very simple, but it's basically a sidechain that I'm doing on the output. So I just wanted to add some movement. That's pretty easy, right? It's not the craziest part of this. But then what's really cool is that very weird motion that we have on the bandpass filter right here. So again, I'm using a step sequencer rate of 1/16 random at its highest value. So the way the random works on this step sequencer is that at each cycle of the sequencer, so at each bar, it just draws some more random values. Like, so each sequence is different than the previous one. And this is modulating the cutoff frequency of the pre-filter. So adding some motion. And this other sequencer is doing exactly the same thing on pre-filter B right here. So this is slot A. And this is the blend of the two. So in the context of the track, it's pretty interesting. Like if I do a A-B comparison with and without. So a great way to add some movements to like very static pads, you know. And this is why I love this plugin so much. Are you still here, Josh?
Oh, I'm here, buddy.
I've
just been entranced by what's happening.
Oh, maybe I should demo another like kind of usage like this, or maybe some more question. I don't know about what I just did.
We've got lots of questions. None of them specifically about what you just did, but let's keep going, and we'll come back to questions in a little bit. But I just want to say, for people who are just joining us, we're with François Barillion from Arturia, checking out their brand new effects plugin called COLDFIRE. It's on sale right now, 50% off just for this stream for the next 24 hours. My friend Killian's going to post the code in the chat again. If you want to grab it, you got 24 hours to do it at 50% off. And we're going to be giving a couple copies away on the stream, so just be active in the chat. That's all you need to do to win. Choose some people at random at the end. And in the meantime, just enjoy the show. Francois, please. Continue.
Yep. So I have this techno pattern that I've made. So let's, again, I'm going to play it. So, quite hard thing going on right here.
Is that you made that track?
It's a blend of pretty much. It's a blend of various loops and things that I've put it.
You got to finish that one. I think that's a good beginning to something there.
I'm not really into techno anymore, anyway. So this is what's going on with the kick. Pretty simple, dry. It's a basic 909. Not going to go too much into details. I'll just have two analog stuff going on together. What's interesting is the bass. So here's the bass without COLDFIRE. And this is with.
That's gnarly. I love it.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here, I'm using the sidechain feature of COLDFIRE, by the way, to just gate the output of the plugin. This is just something I wanted to show, but here in the modulators you have an envelope follower, and this envelope follower can be mapped to the sidechain input of the plugin. So basically, what I'm doing with the kick is just triggering this. And this envelope follower then can be used as a modulator to any parameter on the plugin. So here I'm just doing it on the output of the plugin just to have some sidechaining going on. But if I want to do this to apply it on the distortion, for example, then it just responds to the kick. So what I'm doing here is that I'm using a transformer algorithm for the low end of the bass. So this is how the transformer sound by its own.
Wait, is it that? What are you? Why is it all the way over to the right, but we're hearing the transformer?
Because we are moving the crossover frequency of the band
we're on the
split.
band split. Okay, that's
Yeah,
I
yeah,
missed
it's
that.
band splitted. So the more you drag the slider on the right, the more you get some transformer on the whole spectrum, you know. Because the crossover frequency now is at 20K, so basically the whole signal is going to the transformer.
I just had missed it was on the band split function there.
And then if I go far away to here, the crossover frequency will be 20 hertz. So that means that the whole signal will go to the rectifier. And rectifier on its own sounds quite weird. But in combination with the transformer altogether, it becomes really interesting. And then I'm just hitting this limiter really hard just to get this really gnarly sound. So again. So again,
we got a question about the sidechain. Is there a filter? Can you apply a filter to the sidechain before it?
No, there is no filter for the sidechain. There is no filter for the sidechain. That said, you have some interesting stuff going on. You can delay the whole thing if you want. You can, but yeah, no sidechain filter.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah, let's go on this one. So this is a very basic plug. What's really interesting with this feedback module here is that you can use it as some sort of creative delay as well. And this is what I'm doing here. I'm doing some sort of weird stereo panning with some delay that is generated with this feedback module and some notch filtering that is moving with this LFO at the bottom of the interface. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to add some movement to this part, and again, in the context of the mix. Another kind of use you can have with COLDFIRE, you know.
I love it. Hey, just a quick question, perhaps the best question I've seen tonight from Simple Sam is there an Optimus Prime algorithm for the transformer distortion type?
Unfortunately not, but you have two different types. You have nickel and iron.
Oh, I think we missed an opportunity there for Optimus.
Yeah, please send a ticket to our support team.
Everybody go hit up support at Arturia.
This is a really good feature request.
Great question. So another great question from Michael Hopkins is, how many of the parameters or are they all automatable within the host DAW?
A lot of them. Oh yeah, someone just turned off the light behind me. Sorry.
Spooky.
Actually, a lot of them. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Logic, but the way the automatable parameters are displayed is quite messy. But you have all these to choose from. So you even have you can modulate and automate, parameters for every modulator as well, and pretty much everything on the interface. So yeah,
fair enough.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Other questions, maybe, or should I? Continue?
If you want, we got is it compatible with all major DAWs? From my channel is wondering.
Yeah, you can find the exact list on arturia.com, but we are compatible with every major DAW and every format from VST, VST3, AU, and AAX. So yeah.
Yeah. Another question is, what's the highest sample rate this can operate at? And that's from Little Studios Online.
Depending on your CPU, but you can go up to 192 if you want.
Oh, wow.
In your session, but yeah, bear in mind that this oversampling quality here can also lead to like big consumption. So if you go to 192 and hit render, then the CPU hit's gonna be like quite heavy.
And there's a question. This is another one of the kind of inevitable questions this day and age. Is Arturia taking advantage of the GPU at all? And if not, is there any plans to do that in future releases?
So at the moment, we are not doing it. I saw some companies that, yeah, I think there is a company called GPU DSP, or I don't remember the name
There's a
of it.
couple companies that are offering that service.
This is not something that we're doing right now. I don't know for the I'm not gonna speak for the R&D department because I'm not even sure, but I think this is something that we're getting into slowly.
Okay.
And that's, yeah, we're investigating anyway, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much good for questions now if you want to keep going.
Okay, let's do this for sure. Okay, let me take maybe another maybe I should take this trap beat. I know that you love it, Josh.
What's not to love about it though, Francois? I feel like.
Okay, let me play it first, and then
Do you want to tell the people in the chat about my my freestyle from yesterday? Yeah, it was pretty intense, was it not?
Yeah, it was really good, man. Like, so for those of you who are watching, we did this like test yesterday with Josh, and he just dropped the best freestyle I've ever heard.
I'll tell you what, if we can get this video to 300 likes, I will freestyle at the end of this stream. 300 likes. I think that's fair. Because I haven't released any records, and I think it's, these are heaters. I've got nothing but bars, and I'll do it. 300 likes, and I'll do a freestyle.
Okay, so let me drop this fire beat,
do it.
I mean, yeah.
You've got bass glides in there. You've got some really nice panning happening. The stereo image is very full. I mean, it really is a good beat. Okay, so I'm gonna take it step by step. On the drums, I'm doing it. I'm quite gentle, if I remember correctly. So this is the right signal. I'm using a preset, by the way. Okay, so now I remember. I'm hitting this limiter quite hard, and I'm saturating it like with 2 modules in serial, so it's not that gentle. So it really just take the snare and put it like right in your face. Okay, let's stop here for the drum machine. The bass is interesting though. I think it works pretty well in that context. I mean, it makes the, I've been saying it for years, is don't sleep on saturation. And one of the things that I find very useful about COLDFIRE is you can get that nice subtle warming of the higher frequency content very easily.
Yeah.
And you can also go full on sound design just to the next dimension with it as well. So I really dig it. I had a question. You were talking about the limiter on the drums, and you had it on, I believe, post. Can you tell the chat maybe why you might want to choose to throw the limiter on post or pre?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, the way I'm using it here is just to make a pancake out of the drums, basically, to have everything just not clipped, but like very, very tight. Maybe you would want to use it as a pre-distortion thing to be sure that you hit the distortion every single hit at the same like amount, I would say. On the post thing, it really helps to, I don't know, just because the saturation here is just taking all, you know, the tonal parts, not the transient, but what's coming after. I don't have the name of it. Since the saturation is boosting everything after the transient, taking the limiter is just pushing it up a little bit more even. So if I put it in pre-distortion and post, it just takes like all the, not the room, but everything like up and make it really loud.
So why did you go with the limiter there and not the compressor?
I don't know. I think it's maybe just a habit, you know. I love to put limiter on my drums most of the time, and sometimes just do some parallel processing with it. This is just how I roll, you know.
Okay, hey, it wasn't an attack. Wasn't an attack. It was an honest question.
No, and it's just that I don't know. Like this limiter is so simple and easy to use that I find that most of the time it just does the job really well on drums. But yeah, I could have used also the multiband for like some more like hardcore stuff. But yeah, if you want to dial it back with a dry wet, sometimes it gets a little bit sketchy with the phase and everything. So just the limiter and boom, to me it works. So yes, yeah, for the bass, just I'm using a comp FET76 for the sidechain of the bass. Easy. What's coming next is more interesting.
Sounds like Fragments.
Not yet. It's coming next. So I think it's a preset. That is called Lively Synth. Basically, what it's doing is just modulating tons of parameters and introducing some randomness with 2 bit crushers. So this is dry sound. And you know, in the mix, it sounds pretty cool. And this is what I like so much about this plugin. Is just such a good way to find inspiration, you know, like just browsing through presets and find some interesting stuff. Maybe this is something that I should do right now, by the way. Just scroll through presets and
let's run it.
And let's try.
Did it just generate kick drums?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And you just saw, like, I've just rolled through 10 presets and just the outcome is so much different each time. So yeah, I really like this plugin for that. It's a really cool tool.
Which preset subfolder were you looking through right there? Is that sort of a sequencer subfolder? I don't know.
I think it was in the all presets. Like,
wow.
Really all of them in like random order. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, or maybe it was modulation. So yeah, some crazy stuff are possible with this one. So I might be able to find the preset that I had before, though. I think it was this one. Yes. So
Oh,
yeah, nice feature here.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's a great feature right there.
We have a undo redo right here with the whole history of the change that you make. So every time you reload the project, you can't see the history from the previous changes, but if you do some modification in your project before saving or whatever, you can go back. So that's pretty handy. So the last one I wanted to show you is the combination of Fragments and COLDFIRE, which is quite interesting, I think. So let me just open both of them because Fragments is my all-time favorite plugin. So this is dry sound. Yeah,
it's great plugin.
Here's the dry sound.
All right.
Okay, so this is what I'm doing with COLDFIRE first. What's really interesting here is that I'm using a null-second compressor, so all the noise from the sample is going up. But because I'm filtering the whole thing quite heavily, you can hear the noise being modulated and adding some rhythm to the sound. So if I go back to the dry sound, it's boring. So this is what I'm doing here. And after this one, I'm using Fragments to add some space on it. I'm using Dispatch Waterfall Octave. And all together, again, inside the production. And the combination of these two, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Just even from that one example, it seems like the sky is the limit with that.
Yeah, they really work well together. All this modulation stuff, it's so funny to do pretty much whatever you want with them.
And for people who did miss it, we did a full hour-plus live stream just all about EFX Fragments. It's available on the archive here on the channel. Bunch of highlights as well floating around if you want to check it out. I highly suggest it. Granular effects are really, really fun. But
yes, they are.
Wasn't there? I feel like there was another track that we haven't even gotten to yet.
Yeah, I have a sort of a deep house thing here that I've made. So really simple. So 909 kits, bass, and what's going on here? Here's the dry sound.
Okay.
So the first thing I wanted to do is just to get rid of the low end, so it fits better with the drums and the bass. So I just use this post filter to filter a little bit of it. And then what I'm doing on top of that is, so both modules are on serial tape and bit crusher, and I'm just slowly modulating the pre-filter B cutoff frequency. It's a bandpass filter, so it's adding this very slow movement all over almost like a phaser. So this is what I did with the keys, just to add this kind of grid, that is quite cool on
Great,
house
and
music.
movement too. Makes
Yeah,
it much
too.
more lively.
Of course. And on this bass, I was pretty conservative, I think. Yeah. Just wanted to add some grids. And as far as the drums are concerned, if I'm not mistaken, I have one instance on each element. So what I can do is just bypass all of them and maybe play them with everything together afterwards. So this is the dry sound. This is what I'm doing with them. And I'm having an instance on the whole bus as well. So all together, very easy, just more subtle and used as coloring tools more than just crazy creative modulating things.
But it's great that you can still go to Crazy Town if you want to go to Crazy Town.
Of course. This is why we've put like 6 different modulators that can be either whatever you want.
And just to let everybody know who's just joining us, you can grab it right now for the next 24 hours. Well, actually 23 hours, I believe. I think it's till midnight tomorrow, BST time to be exact. But we are offering an exclusive 50% off using a code. It's pinned to the top of the chat. My friend Killian will put it in the chat again. But if you use that code at checkout, 50% off this incredible effect. And someone's wondering, is this available? And I believe you already mentioned this, but perhaps they came in a little bit late. Is this available in VST2, or has Arturia already switched to just VST3 going forward?
No, I think we have both of them. No, we cover VST2 as well.
Okay. And another one from Christoph Schaefer is wondering, how many developers worked on COLDFIRE?
How many developers? So the way we are organized here is that we have a DSP team and a software team that work together. The DSP team is working on everything related to research and making like all the models for everything. And the role of the software team is more to take these different modules, build the whole architecture, like the audio path and everything around them, put the GUI on top of it, and that's it. So we have 2 different teams. As far as DSP is concerned, I think we had about 3 people involved. Yes, 3 or 4. And as far as software is concerned, we had 2 people involved. But this project was, we had a lot of fine-tuning and a lot of development to do for some algorithms which are quite unique, such as the bit inverter, and maybe I should go back to this one a little bit later on. But some of them, we already had them in some ways. We had to retweak them quite intensively. But yeah, if I take the example of the force algorithm, for example, this is the same distortion you have in bus force, which is another plugin from FX Collection. So it wasn't developing 11 new algorithm. Fortunately, we had the opportunity to reuse some of the assets that we had, but some of them are just brand new. Like the tape one is 100% new. The transformer is 100% new. The bit crusher has been entirely reworked. Same for the bit inverter and the rectifier.
Nice. It might be great, Francois, if you can go through the different distortion types, because I know that each one has a different set of parameters specific to it. It just might be good for people to check out what's involved for each one.
I was thinking about that. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to take my 909 loop, I think. It's probably like the sound that people are more familiar with. Okay, so this is my loop. I'm gonna set the 2 distortion in series, deactivate, totally deactivate this section. So I'm gonna scroll through the different types and you will hear them. I'm gonna try not to speak during that. So that was the bit crusher. Then, well, let's start with the first one. Bit inverter is really interesting. It allows you to either cancel or invert certain beats on a 8-bit scheme. So sorry for that. What's interesting with
when you're clicking that, I'm seeing them go from a gray to a color to a black. Are those different sort of amounts being applied there or something?
Yeah, well, when nothing is when everything is gray like this, we're not reverting or suppressing any beats, and when it's flashing like this, you're inverting one. When it's black, you just delete it. And you have to think about like, okay, I have my waveform on 8 bits. When I remove this one, it's the largest one. So this is why it is so impactful on. This is, yeah, look at the manual if it's too blurry for you, but it's really interesting the way it works. I could show you on a sign maybe what it's doing, but maybe a little bit later. And then wave folder. Rectifier. So the way rectifiers works is that it takes the negative part of the waveform, it just flips it the other way around. So this is why you see on the knob this kind of pattern. Let's switch to the wave shaper. So again, you have like tons of different algorithms to choose from. So inside this 11 algorithm, you have various modes. So it's actually way more than 11 algorithms. So this one, the differences are more subtle, so you have to not go too crazy on them to actually hear the difference. Some of them are really asymmetrical as well. So quite cool. Let's move next to transformer. So this one is really subtle, by the way. But you can hear like how it interacts with the low end of the track here. This is really characteristics from transformers. Usually just do some sort of like high passing when you hit them really hard. Again, 2 different modes. Let's switch to force.
I got a question,
one is,
Francois.
yep.
So when you were increasing the drive on that, I really heard the automatic gain compensation come in. So it was pressing down the signal. Why didn't that happen on the beat inverter or the bit inverter?
The reason why we did so there are 3 algorithms that doesn't have any gain compensation. It's the bit inverter, the rectifier, and the bit crusher. And it's only because of the way they work, basically. It means that you can't predict how loud a signal is going to be through these algorithms. I know it sounds weird like that, but the way we design compensation curves for this kind of algorithm is we think about a target volume we're gonna use. We think about the target level the user is gonna use. So let's say this is a production-oriented plugin. People are gonna use it around -6 dB. So we keep this number in mind, and then we just increase the gain, see what kind of curve we get, like how much more gain we get out of this curve on a base of 6 dB, and we try to get 6 dB out with various different signals, with many different drum kits and everything. The only problem is with a bit inverter, depending on how loud you will hit it, the quieter the signal, if you invert a bit, the louder it will get. And this is why we can't predict anything. And it's pretty much the same with the rectifier. If you go with a very slight signal, it can get like really high, really high. So this is why we try not to blow everyone's ears with them. So they are kind of limited in some ways, but yeah, we can't really predict it. And you were right, like every single other algorithm is compensated except for these 3 right here.
Gotcha.
So the fourth one, I just wanted to show something here. You have this curve switch. This is basically something that puts some emphasis pre-distortion and removes it afterwards. So pretty cool to get different characters out of the same distortion. Then
can you go back just a second?
Yeah, sure.
The overdrive. What other options do we have? Okay.
You have even, odd, and thick. These are the same modes as we have in Bus Force. So yeah, even is very like these 3 are quite subtle.
Yeah. Another question. The left and right arrows there, okay, that changes the whole distortion type, not the...
Yep, that's
Gotcha.
it. You can scroll through the different big categories, and then you have this drop down for like the subcategories, I would say. Here's the tape.
Sounds really nice.
It's one of my favorite, actually. Like,
yeah, I mean, so far it's right up there.
Yeah, it's really good, and you know, like the way it interacts with the low end is like really something. A good trick is just to use it like band split. You put that on the low end, and then you just process the rest with something else. Works just beautifully. And last but not least, the tube. With 2 different modes. So one is producing more odd, the other one more even harmonics. So that's the tour of like the different algorithm. Oh no, sorry, I'm missing 2. Germanium is based on the preamp we have on the Spring reverb in FX Collection, which is really, really characterful. This one is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but listen, it's very important for people who maybe are just getting into production to know, like, you know, very rarely would you slam that all the way to 100%. But when you when you had it around 60 or around like 1 or 2 o'clock, that was really adding some really nice character. Like A/B that for me, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's just a whole other. I mean, it's adding so much punch there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it that you're slamming it, because it's important to understand the full profile of what each one of these is doing. But just for people who might not know, generally with distortion and saturation, the idea isn't to go all the way, but you can, of course, if you want to.
Yeah, this is why I've tried to demo like different examples, but yeah, for sure, if people joined recently, maybe they haven't experienced that. And last one is Transistor. It's a tribute to the preamps from the old tape echoes and all that, Roland, Space Echo, or these kind of things. When you drive them hard, you can hear it already. At 30%.
Already, yeah. What if you really crank up the drive and pull down that dry wet?
Yeah, well, like parallel processing, basically.
Yeah.
Let's try to make that unity. Yeah, I could do that. Like, I could use this in a lo-fi house production or whatever. That could work.
Nice.
So that's it for all the modules, I guess.
It's a lot of modules.
Yes, and I haven't
feel
covered...
like we're just, leaving so much to want with that one empty space there, Francois.
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah, why is that? I mean, let's just throw one more in there, man.
You have no idea of what's coming next.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Or maybe it's just I'm just bullshitting right now. You don't know. No, yeah, I know it's frustrating. It will be filled up someday.
Is that a copy button? You can copy the settings on one and put it in the other? Or?
Oh yeah.
You click it and automatically shows up. That's wonderful.
Yeah, on the other side. And also, if you're not satisfied with having one on the right and the other one on the left, you can swap them like this.
Nice. And Rivermint official is wondering if there's a randomizer somewhere.
No, not yet, I would say, because this is something I would love to implement someday in the plugin. But no, there is no random options right now. No.
And what do we got for settings in the menu? Is there anything we're missing in there?
Here you can resize the window, mainly access the tutorial. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but I think we're quite almost the only in the industry to do that. But you have a like in-app tutorial that guides you to how to use the plugin and all that. And that's like every single step of the plugin, like what do you get, what are the filters, how they work, and all that. So if you're lost in the plugin, you can actually refer to the tutorial right here. But yeah, I don't think there are a lot of companies who does that.
The thing that I like about the Arturia tutorials as well is that they're pretty detailed. I mean, like, is it any different from the manual? Because they're quite impressive, what you can actually just access right inside of the plugin like that.
Yeah, it's not the same as the manual because we don't want to have something too deep or whatever. We want the user to get the information like quickly, so it doesn't break too much his workflow when he's working. But yeah, for sure though, the manuals are really deep, and we pay a lot of attention to the manuals because we know that like audio nerds like you and me are really into these kind of things. You want to know what is a transistor algorithm. You want to know that it's from a Roland Space Echo. You want to know that the Germanium preamp is modeled after some fancy reverb and all that. So yeah, we're putting effort into them.
Chris Mitchell's wondering, do the effects inside of the effects collection get pretty regular and substantial updates?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, we try to update them on a yearly basis. Like when I say update, I'm not talking about bug fixing. I'm really talking about upgrades.
New features.
New features, exactly. So if I take the example of the Space Echo, the Tape 201, we did an update last year, and we added more preamplifier flavors. I'm currently working on the update for FX Collection 4. And what I can tell you, because this is almost sure, is that COLDFIRE will receive a dark theme. So you will be able to have a dark interface for those of you who produce at night and don't want your eyes to be too aggressed by the whiteness of this plugin. So this is the kind of improvement I'm working on. We have a few other to come. I'm not going to give too much details right now, but Fragments going to get an update as well for FX Collection 4 and these kind of things. Yeah.
Well, when that drops, you definitely come through again, and you'll be the first person to do 3 dev streams here on the channel. We'd be happy to have you.
Let's do it. Yeah. Well, you have some time before FX Collection 4. But yeah.
What was I had another question. Oh, someone's asking. Alexander Volishin is asking if you could do a few more pitch shifted feedback examples.
Yes, I can. Should I take? I don't want to. Let's take this one. I think it was a great example with the feedback. Okay, so let's load a new preset. I'm gonna put them in serial. Load a force algorithm. Load a feedback and put it to unsync first. So.
Oh boy.
This is something that I like to do, is just use it as a resonator for like really percussive elements like this. Or yeah, as asked, you can switch to pitch and just choose which note you want to target. So let's see, we want to C0. And then if you want to glue everything together, just add like a post compressor, for example. And boom.
It's gnarly. I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Even like doing some very simple delay thing, like dotted 8, for example. Pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, François, is that it, or is there more to go through?
I don't know. What I can say is that what you hear is only Arturia FX collection. Yeah, aside from COLDFIRE, I've used a few FET76 compressors here and there for sidechain. All the reverbs that you heard are from rev intensity that is set on a bus, and everything is sent to the same instance. And I hope you enjoy this. I mean, I really enjoyed it, so I hope you too.
Let's get a round of applause for Francois, and let's get some likes in the chat. Let's get them. Francois, the round of applause sound effect is happening right now for you. I know you
so
can't
glad to hear it. Yeah.
For the dev.stream 2.0, we're gonna make sure you can hear that, because
Please
I think it's
that.
very important.
Yeah.
Let's do some giveaways. We've got 2 versions of COLDFIRE to give away, or 2 instances, and then we've got a lucky winner is going to win the FX Collection 3 and COLDFIRE. So if Killian can slide me 10 names in the chat, we're going to get that going. Lots of applause symbols coming in on the chat. I know you can't see that either. People are just about it. Thank you.
When I will be back home, I will look at it. And I did that last time. Is that a egocentric move to look at you afterwards?
If you just do like a Control F and try to find all your name, like all the instances of your name, yeah. But if you're just looking for general feedback on the stream, I don't think that's an issue at all. Killian, how many likes we got? Because I've made a promise to do a freestyle if we hit 300 likes, and from what I understand, I don't think we hit it, Francois. So I think
so bad.
When we do the effects collection 4, we'll aim for it then. I've got 10 names here, Francois, so I need... Let me just pull up my notes here so I don't mess this up. Francois, the way we do it now is we've got 3 winners, and we've got 10 random names collected by Killian. Okay. 130 likes, Francois. It's just not enough for me to drop the pure fire on the stream right now. But I need, for the 2 winners of COLDFIRE, can you give me 2 of your favorite numbers between 1 and 10?
Let's say 7 and 2.
7 and 2. So 1, 2. Copy that. And 7. Okay. And now the grand prize winner. If you could be so kind to choose your next favorite number from 1 and 10.
The number 10.
Oh.
Yeah, not a conventional choice, I know.
No, this is perfectly fine. This is exactly how we need to do this. This is why it's all about randomness. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Just a quick note about this giveaway. The winners will need to set up an account at Arturia's website if you haven't already, and then email support@pluginboutique.com notifying us of the email you've used on the Arturia's website for your account, a screenshot of you logged in with the username that we call here into that admin on the YouTube here, and then just let us know what you won, and we will get you sorted as soon as possible. So that being said, the 2 winners of COLDFIRE, we've got Elhym, that's ELHYM, and Christoph Schaefer. Congratulations. Yes. And finally, drum roll please for the grand winner of the Effects Collection 3 and COLDFIRE, Uwe Coleman. UWEKULLMANN. Congratulations. Let's get some applause in the chat. Thanks to everybody for coming through today, being positive, and just checking out this incredible effects synth from Arturia. Francois, once again, thank you so much for coming through.
My pleasure.
Being an absolute legend, showing us the ins and outs of this incredible distortion effect. And definitely, I say it to you every time, 2 times now. Whenever you want to do this again, just hit me up and we will make sure it happens, because I love to do it. The community loves to see you and hear from you. So just
always happy to do it, Josh. Like, let's do it next time. I don't know. I can't tell anything about the next releases, but yeah, be sure.
Are you sure? Are you sure you can't do that right now?
Nah.
Plug-in boutique exclusive for your friend. For your friend.
Nope.
All right. Well, with that, I will let you go. And everybody else, thanks for swinging through. And I will see you in the next dev stream.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Josh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Keep on rising to the top. Ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place I with the one Jamalski. We are the general. We sit up on the rhythm and open the mic incredible. I'll be right palm rhythm and a move, but the rhythm I sit down steady. Every ragamuffin you do, I feel rock and follow it. Cool, you know you love her for your life. We jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. We chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we jump